Good morning, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. Trump tells Israel to immediately stop bombing after Hamas agrees to release Israeli hostages, also ready to negotiate on other points of Gaza peace plan. India voices strong support for President Trump's Gaza peace plan. Prime Minister Modi says indications of release of hostage marks significant step forward. US government shutdown to stretch into next week after senators reject the funding bill fourth time. Trump freezes funds for Democratic areas, threatens more federal job cuts. In a landmark initiative for youth development, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will unveil various youth-focused initiatives to also lay foundation stone for new academic and research facilities in universities of Bihar. And in World Para Athletics Championships 2025, India's high jumper Nishad wins gold. US President Donald Trump told Israel on Friday to immediately stop bombing Gaza after Hamas agreed to release hostages and some other terms in the US plan to end the conflict. However, troubling issues like disarmament appeared unresolved. Donald Trump's peace plan, endorsed by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, demands Hamas's disarmament and excludes the group from Gaza's governance, proposing a technocratic body under Trump's oversight. Hamas has agreed to transfer power, although it seeks a role in Gaza's future. US President Trump released a brief video on Truth Social on Saturday, pledging fair treatment for all parties in Gaza peace talks and hailing Hamas's hostage release agreement as a special day, maybe unprecedented.
We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented, but thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East. And we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
And amidst these developments, senior Hamas official Musa Abu Marzouk told a news channel in an interview on Friday that the group would not disarm before the Israeli occupation ends.
We're talking about the conditions to release. All the president, the first conditions that the war should stop, as President Trump said. If we release all of the war prisoners, the war gonna stop. The second condition, the Israeli should withdraw from Gaza Strip. The third condition, there is all of the humanitarian help for the people in Gaza because they are suffering and they are in hunger and they are, you see, in very bad shape because the humanitarian aid closed since many months. And then they should release all of the occupation areas to go back to the border between Gaza and them.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has announced on Saturday that Israel is ready to implement the first phase of President Donald Trump's peace plan to secure the release of Israeli hostages in Gaza following Hamas's agreement to engage in peace talks. Qatar, Egypt and the United Nations praised the move. World leaders welcomed Hamas's agreement to parts of US President Trump's Gaza plan, urging a ceasefire, hostage release and humanitarian aid. The UN, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Australia and Turkey have praised the progress, along with Israel's opposition leader, who's also backed the negotiations. And India has also voiced strong support for US President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised its progress in a post on X. Prime Minister says, and I quote, "We welcome President Trump's leadership as peace efforts in Gaza make decisive progress. Indications of release of hostages mark a significant step forward. India will continue to strongly support all efforts towards durable and just peace." And in a stunning diplomatic pivot, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, long fierce critic of US President Trump, expressed rare agreement on Friday with Trump's Gaza peace plan, offering Colombian troops to enforce a ceasefire amid Hamas's hostage release pledge. Posting on X in Spanish, Petro demanded an end to the genocide in Gaza and proposed deploying Colombia's army alongside Trump's forces to halt Israeli operations and secure Palestinian territories. Global leaders welcomed the breakthrough, although Petro's call drew sharp US rebuke, including visa revocation threats. As mediators Qatar and Egypt accelerate negotiations, Petro's troop offer signals potential Latin American involvement in the nearly two-year conflict's resolution. The bombing must stop. I agree with Trump, and I told him, if you need to send the United States Army there, I'll also send Colombia's army, and we'll fight together. Pride cannot be raised as flag when the flag of life comes first. And DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us with the latest. Akshay, there are great expectations from Trump's Gaza peace plan, but from previous experiences, how fragile is it?
Well, this time, Shubhendu, it seems different because, we have Donald Trump acting perhaps, in a rare time as actually a mediator as far as two warring factions are concerned, that has taken a turn towards peace. And now it's not just that Hamas has only accepted Trump's offer. That is a big breakthrough. But also Donald Trump has, tried to create a sort of a balance as far as conversation is concerned, because in the recent days, we have seen that even after Donald Trump asking for the release of hostages and giving a deadline to Hamas to release the hostages, the operations, especially by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, continued in Gaza. The bombing has been continuing, and other operations as well in many aspects. And Donald Trump has this time warned the Israeli Defense Forces as well that they have to stop bombing of Gaza, with immediate effect as far as implementation of a peace plan is concerned, because you cannot expect to keep on bombing one side and then expect them to agree for peace. So that was quite mature of Donald Trump as far as diplomacy is concerned. He has taken a middle ground here, and it seems that that perhaps is the reason why Hamas also got confidence to come to terms with this peace plan. Now, the hostages will be released. As far as the peace plan is concerned, that is the big question, that how will it continue in the future? Because if the hostages are given back to Israel, there has to be certain guarantees that the IDF will stop their operations, in Gaza. They will evacuate from Gaza in a phased manner, as they have said in the peace plan, and that the forces that will be in Gaza, the restructuring and the forces that will be there to maintain peace also act in a neutral manner. And what is going to be the formation, or rather the combination of these forces that will be in Gaza, that will also be quite important for the implementation of the peace plan, and also for the development of trust among the people of the region.
One complication I want to highlight, Akshay, well, Hamas has agreed to most of the points except the point of disarmament. Could this be a sticking point with Prime Minister Netanyahu as in the past?
Well, as far as disarmament is concerned, yes, it is a sticking point. You have rightly highlighted this point, and it remains to be seen that how Trump is going to negotiate with this sticking point, because Trump wants a peace plan, or rather a ceasefire, implemented as soon as possible. We have seen the ambitions of the U.S. president. He has been actively calling for a Nobel Peace Prize, claiming that he has stopped X number of wars, many a times taking, credit for the wars that he hasn't stopped as well. For example, the conflict between India and Pakistan after the terror attack inside India. There have been the world has seen this statement coming in from Donald Trump again and again that he needs a Nobel Prize. So it seems that perhaps this Nobel Prize will be utilized for good, and there will be certain concessions made to Hamas as well. But it remains to be seen that how this problem is going to be solved, because if Hamas remains armed and there are these forces on the ground, what is going to be the equation? How will they function?
Right.
That is going to be a rather complicated issue, which nobody has an answer to yet. That how the countries are going to move forward. But we are hoping that this sticking point will be left to be solved later, and the peace plan will continue as a timeline has been given
Right.
for a few weeks.
And meanwhile, India continues to support for peace in Gaza, along with the two-state solution for long-term resolution of the conflict.
Well, India has always supported the two-state solution. In fact, since 1988, India has actively called for a two-state solution, establishment of Palestine as a territory, as a state. In United Nations as well. Recently, in the United Nations, our diplomats there clearly said that India is standing with the Palestinian cause. India is standing with our Palestinian brothers and sisters. On the other hand, India has strengthened its ties with Israel as well. So India, for the benefit of from the point of view of India, a peace plan implementation is quite important in the region, because as the region gets disturbed, the world gets disturbed, and that's perhaps this region, because it's very close to India, it impacts India's ties with the countries there in the region as well. So India has been vehemently calling for dialogue and diplomacy since the very beginning, and it seems that the call that Prime Minister Narendra Modi made earlier is the real solution that is now being implemented on the ground.
Right. Akshay, thank you for joining us with those insights and updates. Moving on, a U.S. government shutdown has entered its second week due to a stalemate in the Senate. Both Democratic and Republican proposals failed to reach required 60-vote threshold, with the Republican-led proposal getting 54 votes, the Democrat-led proposal getting 45. Friday's vote on a short-term fix was the last chance of the week to end the crisis. A session will now meet next week. If the shutdown stretches past Monday, it will become the fourth longest in American history. The longest shutdown lasted about 35 days in 2018-19 during Donald Trump's first term in office. Meanwhile, both sides have continued to blame one another for the shutdown, with little sign of any progress in negotiations.
We have asked Republican leaders for months to sit down and talk with us. They've refused and barreled us into a shutdown. They thought they could bludgeon us and threaten us and scare us. It ain't working, because my caucus and Democrats are adamant that we must protect the health care of the American people. And so now, rather than working with us to end the pain Americans are feeling because of a shutdown, Republicans have instead, they've wasted a week, refused to talk, and exacerbated pain for America. Instead of trying to come to the table and negotiate with Democrats and reopen the government, the White House and fellow Republicans have vowed to make this a maximum pain shutdown, they call it. Unfortunately, the maximum pain falls on the American people, and the American people know it. They know it's not Democrats doing this maximum pain. It's Vote and Trump and the Republicans.
Donald Trump and the Republicans are not behaving responsibly. They're not behaving in a serious manner. They don't want to reopen the government, and they certainly do not want to address the healthcare crisis that Republicans have created.
Meanwhile, U.S. government has put $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects on hold. Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Watt in another jab at the Democratic-led city during the government shutdown. The funding freeze affects two major Chicago Transit Authority projects, the Red Line Extension and the Red and Purple Modernization Project. On Wednesday, Watt said administration of President Trump had frozen another $18 billion for major transit projects in New York, including the Hudson Tunnel and the 2nd Avenue subway, citing the same issue. The Trump administration's Energy Department have also said it would cancel nearly $8 billion for hundreds of energy projects in 16 Democratic-led states, including California and New York. During a news briefing at the White House, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt accused the Democrats of holding Americans hostage over their demands.
Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made as this government shutdown hopefully does not continue.
The U.S. Treasury is considering making a $1 coin featuring President Donald Trump to commemorate 250 years since the Declaration of American Independence in 2026. Images of potential design shows Trump holding a raised clenched fist on one side of the coin, alongside the words "fight, fight, fight," a reference to what he said immediately after surviving an assassination attempt last year. The other side of the coin shows Trump in profile with the word "liberty" above him and the years 1776 to 2026 written below. According to images shared by Treasurer Brandon Beach on X, the Treasury sponsored a national competition and picked for a $1 coin, a design by a sculptor student featuring the Liberty Bell, a symbol of American independence, and the moon to mark the 1976 bicentennial celebrations. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Putin warns of response to NATO Ukraine aid, also dismisses NATO attack fears as nonsense. Munich airport forced to halt operations again for the second day in a row on Friday over drone sightings. Music mogul Sean Diddy comes sentenced to 4 years in prison after apology.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. The Russian forces carried out strikes on multiple Ukrainian military facilities and gas infrastructure on Friday. In his nightly address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia attacked Ukrainian gas facilities for the third consecutive night, firing 35 missiles of various types. He said only half of the missiles were intercepted. The Ukrainian president also said that Kiev and the European Union are preparing new sanctions against Russia, including new sanctions against companies and those working for Russian defense industry. Today, there was another Russian strike on our gas infrastructure just on the eve of the heating season. The Russians are looking for ways to cause more harm to our people. In this strike alone, there were 35 missiles, including ballistic missiles, aimed at gas facilities. The situation in the Chernihiv region is difficult after drone strikes. There was a ballistic missile strike in the Donetsk region in the evening, also on the energy sector. In a stark warning amid escalating tensions, Russian President Vladimir Putin declared on Thursday that Moscow is prepared to respond decisively to NATO's support for Ukraine, particularly long-range missile supplies, which he said would severely damage ties and risk dangerous escalation. Speaking at the Valdai Forum in Sochi, President Putin dismissed fears of Russian attacks on NATO as nonsense, mocked the alliance as potential paper tiger, while denying involvement in recent drone incursions over Poland, Denmark, Estonia and Romania. Hours later, fresh sightings of unidentified drones over Danish and Norwegian military bases heightened alarms, with Ukraine's Zelensky accusing Moscow of testing Europe's defenses. NATO launched Eastern Sentry to bolster eastern flank security as European leaders in Copenhagen vowed unified deterrence against Russian hybrid threats. The head of the UN's nuclear watchdog, Rafael Grossi, called on Ukraine and Russia to show the political will needed to ensure safety around the Russian-controlled Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant on Friday to allow the reconnection of its external power line. The plant has been without external power for the 10th time since September 23, relying on emergency diesel generators to cool the reactor fuel as it no longer produces electricity. Grossi stressed the urgent need to restore external power, but security risks prevent technicians from making repairs. Both Russia and Ukraine blame one another for endangering nuclear safety. The plant was seized by Russian forces in early weeks of Russia-Ukraine conflict. Munich airport was forced to halt operations for the second day in a row on Friday over drone sightings, with dozens of flights and more than 6,000 passengers affected. Munich airport stated German air traffic control restricted flight operations at the airport as a precautionary measure due to unconfirmed drone sightings and suspended them until further notice. A spokesperson for the airport police said both of Munich's 2 runways were closed. 46 departures from the airport were cancelled or delayed until Saturday. Airports in Denmark, Norway and Poland have also halted flights due to unidentified drones. Recent drone sightings have disrupted European aviation, with some blaming Russia, which the Kremlin denies. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney plans to meet US President Donald Trump on Tuesday in Washington. During the meeting, the two leaders are expected to discuss economic and security issues. Canadian Prime Minister's office said Carney's visit will focus on shared priorities in a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the US. Canada has been holding talks for months with US on the new economic and security relationship with the aim of removing all American tariffs on Canadian goods, but those talks had stalled. A coalition of unions, employees and religious groups filed a federal lawsuit on Friday in San Francisco to block President Trump's new $100,000 fee on H-1B visa for highly skilled foreign workers, calling it an unlawful overreach. The suit, the first to challenge Trump's September proclamation, argues he lacks authority to impose such fees reserved for the Congress, transforming the program into a pay-to-play scheme that risks corruption and stifles innovation. Tech giants rely on H-1B visas amid US talent shortages. The White House defended the fee as curbing wage suppression and system abuse, exempting existing visa holders and pre-September 21st applications. Plaintiffs include United Auto Workers and university professors, urging courts to halt the implementation. The Trump administration is poised to slash the U.S. refugee admission cap to a historic low of 7,500 for fiscal year 2026, which began October 1st, with priority slots for white South Afrikaners fleeing alleged discrimination. This marks a 94% drop from Biden's 125,000 limit, echoing Trump's first-term cuts and post-January freeze on entries. An executive order launched in February prioritizes Afrikaner resettlement with 138 arrivals by September, despite South Africa's rejection of claims of violence against the minorities. Refugee advocates decree the move as life-endangering and security undermining. At the UN last week, US officials pushed allies to curb global asylum protections, signaling a post-World War II humanitarian shift. Georgians head to the polls on Saturday for high-stakes local elections as opposition leaders rally thousands for street protests in what they call the last chance to rescue democracy from the ruling Georgian Dream Party's grip. Imprisoned ex-president Mikhail Saakashvili urged supporters on Facebook to mobilize, warning of mass arrests and Western abandonment without action. Opera activist Pata Birkelades called for the National Assembly outside the parliament to peacefully oust the government. Prime Minister Irakli Kubadze vowed a tough police crackdown on revolution plots, predicting jail for instigators. Amid raids on media, jailed activists and EU sanctions threats. Polls show 54% back opposition versus 36% for Georgian Dream, which eyes banning rivals and faces boycott calls from divided force. Japan's long-governing party, the Liberal Democratic Party, will choose its new leader to replace Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba as the first round of voting concluded a short while ago. The Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, election sees conservative nationalist Sane Takachi and the more moderate rival Shinjiro Koizumi as the frontrunner. Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi is also polling as the potential candidate among the five vying to replace Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, who is stepping down after recent electoral defeats. The new party president is expected to be appointed as the 104th Prime Minister at the extraordinary Diet session, expected to be convened later this month. Since Prime Minister Ishiba will be replaced midway through his term, the new president's term will last until September 2027, the remainder of Ishiba's term. Updates now on Indonesia's school building collapse incident. Authorities say many are still feared to be under the rubble without any sign of life, as the death toll has risen to 14 on Friday. 116 people have been rescued so far. Meanwhile, distraught families have been waiting anxiously near the site in the town of Sidoarjo, hoping to receive any news of their loved ones since the building collapse on September 29th. Investigators have been looking into the cause of the collapse, but initial signs pointed to substandard construction. North Korea commemorated a traditional ritual ceremony on Friday to mark the founding of ancient Korea. People and officials were seen gathering at the Mausoleum of King Dagun in Pyongyang. The holiday, known as National Foundation Day in both Koreas, celebrates the legendary founding of the first kingdom of the Korean peninsula by King Tangun more than 4,000 years ago. The day is observed in South Korea as well as where it is celebrated as a national holiday, marking the legendary origins of the Korean nation. Moving on, Sean Diddy Combs has been sentenced to more than 4 years in prison over his conviction on prostitution-related charges, with the judge rebuking the hip-hop mogul of subjecting two former partners to years of abuse. Diddy had faced up to 20 years in prison, at least 10 years on each count on which he was convicted. The jury acquitted him on the more serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking, which could have earned him a life sentence. Despite his acquittal on these charges, Judge Arun Subramanian, who sentenced Diddy, said a significant sentence was justified given the harm Combs had caused to his former partners, Ventura and Jane. His lawyer suggests Diddy could be released in less than 3 years after receiving credit for the time that he has already spent locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn since 2024, 16th of September arrest. A first-ever vaccine against elephant EEHV is ready for wider use after successful trials for 4 years. The vaccine is said to be safe, effective in generating immune responses. The breakthrough vaccine, a collaborative effort by organizations like the Baylor College of Medicine, the Houston Zoo, Chester Zoo, and the University of Surrey, offers hope for saving young elephants from this deadly virus. EEHV disease found in elephants causes a highly fatal hemorrhagic disease that can kill young elephants, particularly Asian elephants, within 24 hours of symptom onset. Finding an effective vaccine marks a major milestone in global conservation efforts to protect the endangered species from sudden deaths. American singer Taylor Swift shattered Spotify's 2025 single-day streaming record on Friday with her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl. amassing millions of plays in under 11 hours after its midnight ET release. The bouncy pop record, reuniting Swift with producers Max Martin and Shellback, explores love, sex, success, and score setting, featuring her NFL fiancé Travis Kelce on tracks like Dreamy Wishlist and his favorite Opalite. Fans worldwide celebrated a theatre release party screening premiering The Fate of Ophelia video, with ticket sales projected at about $30 to $50 million. Swift shared her joy on Instagram, noting the album's joyful vibe, post-era store and catalogue reclamation diss tracks like Father Figure target industry foes, while Actually Romantic sparks feud rumors with Charlie XCX. Special Target vinyl editions flew off shelves. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Election Commission is visiting Patna to review poll preparedness in Bihar. Pakistani government and Awami Action Committee reach a reconciliation after violent protest in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And Northern Railway dispatched its first ever automobile rig to the Kashmir Valley.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. In a major push for India's youth empowerment, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will unveil initiatives exceeding 62,000 crore rupees on Saturday at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi, focusing on skilling, education and entrepreneurship. Key launches include 60,000 crore rupees PM Setu scheme to upgrade 1,000 ITIs nationwide and about 1,200 vocational labs in schools. Jan Nayak Karpuri Thakur Skills University Bihar Yuva Ayog for 18 to 45 years old, and a revamped scheme offering rupees 1,000 monthly to 5 lakh graduates will also be inaugurated in the state of Bihar. Prime Minister Modi will also lay the foundation stones for PM Usha facilities at 4 Bihar universities with rupees 160 crore, benefiting some 27,000 students. The NIT Patna's Bihta campus will also be dedicated, along with distribution of 4,000 Bihar government jobs letters, the release of rupees 450 crore scholarships to rupees 25 lakh students via direct benefit transfer. The event features 4th National Skill Convocation, felicitating 46 ITI toppers, aiming to harness Bihar's youths as a skilling hub. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav and Japan's Minister Hiromasha Nakano visited Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail sites to observe the track-laying tunnels and the Bandra Kurla complex station progress. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav and Japan's Minister of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism Hiromasha Nakano visited the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project's construction sites in Surat and Mumbai. In Surat, they observed rapid progress in the installation of the J-slab, ballastless track system and permanent rail laying. The ministers also reviewed the Bandra Kurla complex underground station in Mumbai, which is now 84% excavated and features 3 levels with metro and road connectivity. Excavation continues on 7 mountain tunnels in Palghar and key viaducts, bridges, track beds that have been completed. The visit underscores strong India-Japan collaboration on India's first high-speed rail corridor. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with Special Advisor to the President of Brazil, Ambassador Celso Luis Nunes Amorim, on Friday for the 6th India-Brazil Strategic Dialogue in New Delhi. Ambassador Amorim was accompanied by a delegation of senior Brazilian government officials and advisors. Both leaders reviewed progress in India-Brazil strategic partnership across various sectors. and also discussed cooperation in multilateral forums like BRICS, IBSA, and the upcoming COP30 in Brazil this November. The dialogue was an opportunity to follow up on issues identified under 5 pillars of cooperation during state visit of Prime Minister Modi to Brazil in July this year. Both sides agreed to carry forward the work to implement the vision laid down by Prime Minister Modi and President De Silva. Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar and Election Commissioner Vivek Joshi and S.S. Sandhu are on 2-day visit to poll-bound East Indian state of Bihar to review poll preparedness. According to officials, the term of 243-member Bihar Assembly ends on November 22nd. Polls in the state are likely to be held in multiple phases, beginning the end of this month and in November. It is a common practice for the poll authority to visit states before announcing the election schedule. The Election Commission meets representatives of political parties, top police, administrative and state poll officials while reviewing election readiness. In a major boost to freight connectivity, Northern Railway has dispatched its first ever automobile rake to the Kashmir Valley. A special rake transported 116 Maruti Suzuki vehicles from Manesar, Haryana. It arrived at the newly operational Anantnag goods shed on Thursday. The train carrying Maruti Suzuki vehicles departed from Gati Shakti terminal in Manesar and reached Anantnag in about 45 hours, covering nearly 850 kilometers. The first consignment included models like Brezza, Desire, Wagoner and Espresso. Rail officials stated that service will provide faster and safer mode of transporting vehicles while reducing pressure on Srinagar-Jammu National Highway. The initiative is being hailed as a significant step in linking Kashmir more closely with the country's automobile and freight networks. The intense negotiations between Jammu and Kashmir Joint Awami Action Committee and high-profile team from the Islamabad came to a result on midnight on Friday as both sides agreed on a draft with some minor amendments. The government has accepted 21 out of 38 demands from the protesters. Following this, demonstrations against the government will end, and for the next 3 days, the Awami Action Committee will hold mourning processions for those who died during the protests. Under the settlement, those responsible for violence and deaths of protesters will face prosecution under anti-terrorism laws, and a judicial inquiry will be conducted. And DT India correspondent Vishal Baristo joins us with more. Vishal, what details can you share with us on the agreement that has been reached between the protesters and the administration in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, a very good morning to you, Shubhendu. The Pakistan government led by Shahbaz Sharif has been brought to its knees by the ongoing protest in the Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir area. And we get to know that 21 out of 38 demands of the Jammu and Kashmir Awami Action Committee has been accepted by the government. But there is still a lot to do, and if I may tell you that the biggest challenge for the government, and which they have also accepted, is that they would provide the evacuees of the Bangalam Dam, and which falls under the Mirpur district, and they would be allotted land within 30 days. And also an important development, and if I may quote, the POK government Act will be amended within 90 days to align with the spirit of the original Local Government Act of 1990 and relevant Supreme Court rulings. So these are the major developments, and also the demands for proper medical facility, including CT scan and all. They have also been met by the Pakistani government. But the biggest victory for the people of Jammu and Kashmir occupied by Pakistan is that Pakistan government has finally accepted 21 out of 30 demands of the Jammu and Kashmir Awami Action Committee.
And Vishal, what is the latest on the law and order situation in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, Shubhendu, though a reconciliation seems to have been reached, but still the next three days are going to be very, very crucial and tense as well, because the Jammu and Kashmir Awami Action Committee would be holding a mourning processions, and that could turn violent anytime, because a lot of people have died in the police action, and people are still mourning their dead. Though the government has promised a government job to the next of kin, I mean one member of the deceased family, and also 1 million rupees, which is 10 lakh rupees as the aid for the financial aid for the injured. But still the situation continues to be tense, and India is keeping a close vigil, and India has very vocally protested and also said that the resources of the Pakistan illegally occupied Pakistan area of Jammu and Kashmir by Pakistan is being illegally occupied, and people are being punished for their legitimate demands, and also there's a lot of persecution by the law enforcing agencies.
Vishal, appreciate you joining us with those updates. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Sri Lanka gears up for the much-awaited high-voltage clash of India versus Pakistan at the ongoing Women's Cricket World Cup ODI format. And World Animal Welfare Day being observed with the theme Save Animals, Save the Planet. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Global stocks surged forward weekly gains on Friday, buoyed by tech rallies and bets on US rate cuts, despite American government shutdown, uncertainty delaying payroll data. Wall Street hit records with Dow up 0.5% at 47,049 at close, S&P flat at 6,750 high, Nasdaq down 0.3% from 22,925 peak. MSCI World Index rose 0.3%. Europe stocks eyed best week since April. Hamas's nod to Trump's Gaza plan strengthened the shekel to 0.7% to 3.29 per dollar, up 1.6% weekly. Euro gained on strong PMIs. Dollar slumped for its biggest weekly drop since August. Gold, meanwhile, hit $3,885.99, up 47% yearly as a safe haven for investors. Oil dipped, Brent at $64.39, WTI 60.69. Markets prices Fed's 25 basis point cut this month, 4 by 2026 end. US tech giant Apple removed popular apps like IC Block from its App Store on Thursday, following demands from the Trump administration's Justice Department, which cited severe risk to immigration agents' safety amid escalating violence. The apps, downloaded over 1 million times since April, allowed anonymous reporting of US immigration and customs enforcement movements, surging in popularity during Trump's mass deportation campaign that has rounded up thousands. Criticism intensified after a September 24th shooting at a Dallas ICE facility killed 2 detainees and injured another. The shooter used ICE Block beforehand. As per the officials, a 700% spike in attacks on agents was reported from early 2024 to 2025. Attorney General Pam Bondi hailed the move, declaring a new era of curbing political violence, with federal agents now deployed nationwide to immigration and customs enforcement sites. Protests continue at facilities as app creators decree Apple's capitulation to authoritarianism. Apple reaffirmed its commitment to safe and trusted platform. The International Monetary Fund's Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, on Friday praised Senegal's strides in enhancing debt transparency after past fiscal misreporting. Speaking after a year-long suspension of a $1.8 billion credit line due to distorted budget data from 2019 to 23 under former President Macky Sall, Georgieva commended Senegal's collaboration with IMF staff and efforts to clarify public debt liabilities. Welcoming Senegal's request for a new aid program, she signaled the IMF's readiness to act swiftly. Formal talks for a new IMF-supported program are set to begin mid-October during the IMF World Bank annual meetings. The move aims to support the heavily indebted West African nation's economic recovery and ensure transparent fiscal management moving forward. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sports. Seeing Sri Lanka is gearing up for the much-awaited high-voltage clash of India versus Pakistan at the ongoing Women's Cricket World Cup in ODI format. The super encounter will take place at Colombo's Premadasa Cricket Stadium on 5th October. So far, Team India has played one match in front of the fully packed stadium at Guwahati against Sri Lanka. Team India won the opening encounter. On the other hand, Pakistan lost its first match of the tournament and comes to the crease with low confidence. Not only this, Pakistan has never been able to win against Indian women in ODI format. And DD India correspondent Deepika Mato joins us live from Colombo with more. Deepika, good morning. Another India-Pak encounter on the cards. How did the two women's teams stack up?
Good morning, Shubhendu. We are outside the Premadasa Cricket Stadium in Colombo, which is all set to host the high-voltage clash between India and Pakistan. Talking about Team India has won the match, the initial match that they played against Sri Lanka in Guwahati, and that match also eventually happened to see a very nice record-breaking number of the fans who attended that very encounter. In that match, Smriti Mandhana came out with flying colours, and so is another player, Amanjot Kaur, who really played a very good innings at that encounter against Sri Lanka. Now, talking about this particular encounter against Pakistan, Team India has remained unbeaten in ODI formats against Pakistan. Not only in the ODI format, but Team India leads in the head-to-head against Pakistan in the T20 international format also. And going once again into this match, Team Pakistan comes with a very low confidence, as you just also mentioned in the report, because they lost their initial encounter against Bangladesh, and that too at the same pitch inside the same stadium where they're going to face Team India. However, Team India is very much familiar with the pitch and the kind of confidence they are carrying with themselves. They look in a very good position, in a very commanding position to win this match against Team Pakistan, Shubhendu.
Right, Deepika. Also, we know Sri Lanka is also a cricket-crazy nation. How's it getting up for the big match?
Particular match, we've been seeing so many festivals which are going on across Sri Lanka, celebrating Youth Day, celebrating sports, and celebrating one or the other sports activity which we've seen. And not only this, the Indian High Commission, they also organized a national run. So this is all about how sports is celebrated in Sri Lanka. But when we talk about the high voltage clash for which everybody is eyeing upon, is the India versus Pakistan clash at the Premadasa Cricket Stadium. For this, Sri Lanka has opened the entry for all the viewers, for all the spectators, for free. So anybody who wants to come and see the match is completely free, because they want to encourage more women's cricket in the country. And not only this, Sri Lanka's board is also planning to invite more number of diplomats, more number of expats, and more number of students to watch the ongoing India versus Pakistan match, and also the rest of the ongoing clashes which are happening at the Colombo Stadium of the ongoing Women's Cricket World Cup. And not only this, Sri Lanka has also made a lot of branding all across Colombo to highlight the fact that Sri Lanka is hosting Women's Cricket World Cup, and also to ensure that they advertise it at the maximum and at the best of the levels. Shubhendu.
Deepika, enjoy the match and thank you for the updates. Let's now turn to the World Para-Athletics Championships underway in New Delhi. India's Nishad Kumar won his maiden gold at the World Championships in men's high jump, T47, on Friday. En route to the gold, Nishad set a new Asian record. Nishad cleared the bar set at 2.14 meters in his first attempt, bettering his own mark of 2.09 meters set at the previous edition in Paris in 2023. Simran grabbed a historic gold in women's 100 meters T12 with a new personal best of 11.95 seconds. Sprinter Preeti Pal bagged a bronze in women's 200 meters T35, clocking a season's best timing of 30.03 seconds. In golf, Kapil Kumar clinched his first professional win at the Indian Golf Premier League Invitational in Pune after a thrilling battle with young Karthik Singh. Tied 12 under after regulation play, Kapil secured victory on the second playoff hole with a superb lob wedge shot to under 2 feet. Karthik missed his birdie chance after landing in the rough. Kapil took home rupees 22.5 lakh, while Karthik earned rupees 15 lakhs. Sachin Basoya finished third at the 11 under, narrowly missing the playoff. Hitashi Bakshi shot the day's best roundup, finished tied 7th, the top woman in the field. The event was full of drama with frequent lead changes and strong performances throughout the final day. And today we observe World Animal Welfare Day. The day is celebrated annually on October 4th to raise awareness for animal welfare and to unite people in promoting better treatment and protection for animals globally. DD India's Taposh Bhattacharya gets us more.
On October 4th, the world unites to mark World Animal Welfare Day. This year's theme, Save Animals, Save the Planet, is more than a message. It's a mission. Every animal protected, every habitat preserved brings us closer to a healthier, more balanced Earth. Protecting animals isn't just compassion, it's climate action. It's preserving biodiversity. It's safeguarding the future. Across the globe, people are taking small but powerful steps. Rescuing stray pets, supporting shelters, conserving endangered species, cleaning rivers, beaches and forests. Speaking up for those without a voice. Together, these acts ripple outward, restoring balance, healing ecosystems and giving hope. This World Animal Welfare Day, let's stand for life in all its forms, furry, feathered and scaled. Save animals, save the planet. Taposh Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For all those on the go, you can get latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on your screens and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.